The Oklahoma City Thunder believe their star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander actually doesn't shoot enough free throws per game right now. Yeah. And on top of that, Stephen A. Smith is considering a run for president of the United States. This is real life. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here. We get through it all, even if it is absolute insanity. So here's what the Oklahoma City Thunder have to say about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and his free throw attempts. This is Jalen Williams, who says, I think a lot of it is the national media. This is on the Old Man and the Three podcast, by the way. He said, they don't be watching the games either, if I'm being honest. They are what drives it, I think. Whatever they push out is what people are going to respond to. Obviously, what they push out is what the fans are going to think. So if you take the foul thing with Shai, he honestly should go to the free throw line more. He leads the NBA in drives, and we're like the lowest free throw shooting team in the NBA. I think there are like 6 or 7 people ahead of him that shoot more free throws, but because the media doesn't like certain ways he gets fouled, that gets pushed. Just watch the games. Just watch the games indeed. Alex Caruso echoed that sentiment, saying it's become cool to not watch basketball. It's all about entertainment value, clip farming, looking for highlights instead of substance. And he says that he misses the way ESPN used to be. So we'll talk about media in just a second, and if they're right about the way the national media portrays certain players. And of course, Stephen A. Smith has a big role in that, and we're going to get to his possible next endeavor in just a moment. But first of all, is Jalen Williams right about the free throws? Well, no, actually he's not. He's not at all. When he says there's 6 or 7 guys that shoot more free throws per game than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, no, that's incorrect. Right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has taken the second most free throws in the NBA on the season. The only one who's taken more is Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Giannis is a freight train. Like, Giannis is a guy, when he's driving to the basket, there is no other way to stop him than to foul him, than to just tackle the man and hang on him in order to try to stop him. That's what Giannis is. So there's a reason why Giannis shoots as many free throws as he does. Does he get a decent whistle? I think he does, but he gets hit a lot too. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is nearly up there with Giannis in terms of free throw attempts. Now, he's played more games, but still, second most free throw attempts in the NBA for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. However, Jalen Williams is also not entirely wrong. When we look at free throw attempts for a team, despite having Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on their team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, when we look at free throw attempts per game, 27th in the NBA in free throw attempts per game. And does he have a point on the drives, driving to the basket? Well, yeah, he actually does. When we look at that too, drives per game, right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder second in the NBA in drive. Now, there's other ways to get fouled. You don't always, in order to get fouled at a higher rate in the paint than anywhere else. You don't always have to drive into the paint in order to get fouled. There's other ways that you can get there, of course, but tends to be when you drive to the basket a lot, you get more free throw attempts. So it is interesting that the Thunder are one of the top teams in the NBA in drives per game, and yet they're one of the lowest teams in the NBA in free throws per game. Now, they do drive and kick a lot, and they do shoot a lot of threes. They've got a high volume from behind the arc, so that can certainly be part of the conversation here and part of why they don't shoot as many free throws. Part of it is they're shooting a lot of threes per game, but still, maybe he's got a little bit of a point that they probably should have a few more free throw attempts per game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander himself, though, hell no. Hell no. And look, there's a reason why. It's not that the media is spinning some anti-SGA narrative or something. No, watching the games is the problem. That's the problem for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, the Thunder as a team, should they shoot more free throws? Yes, but watching the games is the problem for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's what's spinning the narrative. People are watching him play, and they're seeing what's happening. Now, do the Thunder get watched as much as they should? No, they're a great team. They deserve to be watched more. But when you watch the games, you see a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who gets minimal contact and goes flying. And that's what happens in some situations where you've got these guards who are fairly slight. I think about guys like Trae Young. A little bump for one of these guys, and they're going to go flying into the 10th row, especially when they're trying to embellish the contact. And that's what we see from SGA. That's what we see from some of these other smaller guards that like to find a defender, run into them, and then get a whistle. We've seen Steph Curry do it a number of times. A bunch of small guards do it. It's the way it goes. Now, SGA's fairly tall, but in terms of actual bulk, to take contact, that's not really his game. Whereas guys like Giannis, guys like LeBron, some of the bigs, when we talk about Nikola Jokic, these are guys that get hit all game, every game, and you don't notice it as much because they don't go flying like they got hit by a cement truck by any contact. So as far as the narrative around SGA and that he's let's face it, he's a foul grifter, it's because he does. He does, and he gets to the free throw line a lot, and people see it. People see the way that he gets these calls. It's not so much that, the NBA is officiating him unfairly and he should get more free throws. No, SGA gets plenty of free throws. As a team, should the Thunder shoot more free throws? Probably. Yeah, I think he's got a point there. I think they probably should get more free throw attempts. But SGA himself? No, that's not some media spin or something like that. In my opinion, I think the problem SGA has is people do watch and they see the kind of stuff that he pulls and the stuff he gets away with. And frankly, I think it all comes down to the whistles he gets compared to everybody else, right? Or most everybody else, the whistles that he gets that then you turn around and see the bigger, stronger players not get. And that's where that comes from. But does it have a negative effect on the Thunder as a team? Sure. I think it can, because they get looked at as this team that lives at the free throw line, and that's just factually not true. SGA, yes. The rest of the team, no, not so much. And let's keep in mind, this is coming off a game where SGA, I don't know when they recorded the interview, but yesterday, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, for the first time all season, shot 0 free throws. So I'm sure the Thunder are not going to be happy about that. Now, what about the commentary on media here? Talking about how right now it's become cool to not watch basketball and that it feels like media is not watching the NBA. They're just looking for the inflammatory stuff. They're not actually watching games. Look, we've talked about it a lot on this channel here on the Basketball Bulletin. I think there is something to that. I think it is frustrating when you see guys, especially for me personally, I don't enjoy the shows where it's just a couple of people yelling at each other and it's, is player X better than player Y and then arguing back and forth about it. That to each their own. It's not my thing, but to each their own, right? Then there's people who are very, very good at it, and Stephen A. Smith is certainly one of them who is very good at that style. But does it oftentimes push to the side the actual play on the court in order to focus on the sensationalism? Yeah, the drama? Yeah, absolutely. And frankly, part of that is just becoming more and more part of sports media. Is it unfortunate? Yes, but it's also what is driving viewership and what's driving numbers. So it's a very difficult balance to strike. And again, we've talked about it quite a bit here on this channel and the way sports media has shifted over time. So I think they're not wrong when they're saying that we wish that people would watch more games, would watch the team play, especially a team as good as the Thunder. They are excellent, an excellent team. They're the best team in the NBA. They have the best net rating right now that we've ever seen in this league. They're a very good team. And it would be great if people would tune in and watch more. We can also talk about societal shifts when we look at attention span and all of that. That certainly gets wrapped up in that. But I agree with what they're saying here as well, that there's national media members that need to be leading the charge in certain ways, that need to be leading the charge and putting the focus more on the games themselves. That doesn't mean you have to ignore the drama and everything that gets wrapped up in the game, because I think some of that can be really interesting, really exciting. We talk about the game behind the game, trades and all that kind of stuff. That can be wonderful. It can be a lot of fun, really. But I think we probably are going too far and focusing on just the off-court stuff and not enough on the on-court. So I do agree with what they're saying here as well. But all of this, though, goes to this. If we're talking about media members, national media, and let's face it, we're talking about Stephen A. Smith, in addition to a number of his other colleagues at ESPN and a few other places, that the sentiment is they don't watch the game. They don't watch the game enough. They just get on there, quick, give me 60 seconds, say something inflammatory, say something that will get a reaction out of people, and then we move on to the next thing. And then we let people clip that and respond and get angry and all of that. We rage bait and we do all these things. And that is almost kind of a dumbing down of the way the NBA is presented nationally. Well, now Stephen A. Smith is not ruling out running for president. And he's at the forefront of all of this, right? The negative aspects of sports media. Like Stephen A. Smith is right there. We talk Skip Bayless and all these. Stephen A. Smith right now is the guy. Just got the big bucks from ESPN. And here's what he just had to say. And I had to look like 10 times to make sure this was not Centel. Over the last few weeks, I've had no choice but to get more serious about it. Talking about running for president. I've been approached by people on Capitol Hill. I've been approached by people who are elected officials in office, whether it's governors or mayors or what have you. People have legitimately, seriously asked me about it. I have no desire to be a politician, but I've decided that I'm no longer going to close that door. I'm going to keep my options open. I'm going to entertain the possibility. If it comes in late 2026, 2027, where I look at this country and think it's an absolute mess and there's legitimate reason to believe that I indeed have a legitimate shot to win the presidency of the United States, I'm not going to rule it out. Who is going to him? Who? Who is it that's going to Stephen A. Smith saying, you should run for president? I know he's getting more involved in politics and he's talking more politically, but when did Stephen A. Smith become a respected politician? Then again, I think it's fair to also point out that our current president, Donald Trump, was not exactly a respected politician heading into. Now he is a two-time president, right? He's in his second term here. So maybe it is. People are just looking outside the box. But interesting that within the NBA game, a guy like Stephen A. Smith, within the NBA, the sports world, for as successful as he is looked at as the guy that's at the forefront of what a lot of people are not liking about sports media. And yet now he's getting consideration to potentially run for president. Crazy world that we live in here. Now, would he be awesome in a debate situation? Yeah, he sure would. He could certainly thrive in that. And maybe that's all it takes. Maybe that's all it takes to be president. But like I said, I could not believe this when I saw it and thought, oh my gosh, especially in light of the Thunder players, the Thunder, that team that people need to spend more time on. And we should spend more time talking about how good OKC has been, despite the foul grifting of SGA. That team has been phenomenal all season long. Talking about sports media and how they're not focusing on the right things, to now, right on the heels of that, Stephen A. Smith saying, man, I might as well look at running for president. I can't imagine what would happen if he was on the debate stage in a political setting. This world we're living in, it is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Everybody, we appreciate all of you for joining us on this journey on the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you do subscribe right here to the channel. Turn on notifications. Let me know your thoughts. Stephen A. Smith, would you vote for him for president? What do you think about SGA? Does he actually get enough foul calls? Again, until next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.